Alright guys, so just going to do a little project on the chucker here. This is my Hardinge HT chucker lathe. Love this lathe, even though it's got some limitations as far as not having a tailstock and having to find the center and the x-axis. A couple little limitations. A lot of people refer to these lathes as second op lathes because of that. And you know, they're not really designed to take really heavy cuts, but it's very accurate and it holds its tolerance really well. So the one thing about these guys is they have this carriage stop. So the nice thing is there's 8 stops here, right, and it's rotatable. And there's these little set screws here, and you can dial these screws in. These are quarter 28 screws, and you can dial them in to set your Z-axis. 8 positions on the turret, 8 stops on your carriage stop, which is nice. To set this carriage stop, there's this nut right here, 11/16 nut. So you reach in there, you loosen it, and you can move this. And when this is positioned with the screw out quite far, like that, I can still reach in here, get my wrench on this nut, loosen it, and move it, right? When this is positioned and the screw is way back, and the Z-axis is way moved in here, you can't even hardly see it, and it's very difficult to get your hand underneath here. Let's see if I can show you, yep. So it's very difficult for you to get your hand underneath here, find the nut by feel, loosen it, and then move it, right? So my plan is, this nut does not require much to loosen it, right? So maybe a quarter of a turn to loosen it, and again, about a quarter of a turn to tighten it, right? So what the plan was, I was going to drill and tap a hole here just to put a little rod and a little extension rod on there that I can just reach under and just swing one way or the other to tighten or loosen. The only problem with that is there's not a lot of meat on this. This drill and tap a hole here wouldn't give me much meat for the threads in there. And I just take a little bigger piece of stock and drill and bore, put the 7/16 14 threads in there, and you know, part it off. And this way I'll have a lot of meat for the threads to go in there. Okay, so let's put our center drill, and this is where it gets tricky with these lathes because there's no tailstock here. So you have to set your stop before you start your project. So I'm going to dial this in. And let's bore out. Like I said, we're 312 thousandths here. We need 368, so let's come in and touch on. Alright, so let's just come in and make our 7/16 14 thread. Okay, so just getting ready to come in and part off. And we'll shift down. Alright guys, so here's our part, right? Just thread it in now, and here's how we're looking. And what we need to do now is take this over to the mill. Took 40 thousandths there, and now we'll come in and set up for our drill. Alright, so just going to come in for our drilling operation here. Alright guys, all set here for the 1/4-20 tap, and going to start. Alright, we got our thread, so now I'm just going to come in. I want to put a knurl on this, and just got a 1/4-inch ball end mill loaded here. Alright guys, so now we have our 1/4-20 threaded hole, and we have our knurl, so that's looking really good. Alright guys, so now we just need to make the handle for this bad boy. And alright guys, we got our 250 thousandth shaft here. Now we're just going to part off. Alright guys, it looks like we have all of our parts machined now. We got our 1/4-20 thread here, and just the knurl design here to give us some grip when we're pressing down there. And we'll just thread in here. And this will lock things in place. So let's go see how it looks on the machine. So obviously unlocked, and now we can move back. We can move in the Z-axis, and now we can just lock down there, and we're good. So here comes the true test. Is going to be underneath the turret. Okay, so that's how tight it is under there, and you can imagine I have to get that 11/16 wrench under here is very difficult. So now I can just reach under here, open the cam, move in, butt up against the carriage, and lock it much easier in one motion. So just another completed project here. This is going to make my life a lot easier every time I use the chucker. Like I said, I use this machine almost exclusively. I have the DSM that I use occasionally, but I love my chucker, and this is just going to make my life that much easier. So another done project. Stay tuned for more cool stuff.